sworn traffic agents, school safety officers, to your families who naturally participated in that hard work and dedication from the beginning of the month coming out of September, but now ends, and is continuing with our morning received by the police officials, escorted by our ceremonial unit and his family. So I'd like to take all of the intricacies of this great organization came to bear to ensure that the murder of our officer will be brought to, involving the death of Detective Holder, issues of bail reform, issues of incarceration, issues of race and racial tension, issues of police opportunities. Because as the police attention is focused on us, you and me, this department, our profession, law enforcement America, I think America is going to see the real NYPD. We make a difference. You make a difference. Whether it's a traffic agent out in the middle of it, it's not the NYPD. We are committed to doing it the right way. We do it the right way. They are also reduced. I thank you for the work that you do. I thank you for allowing me to tell it to those who need to hear it. Like my colleague, the director of the FBI, Mr. Comey, who this week basically stood up and spoke up on behalf of the American policing and criminal justice profession. I will continue to stand up, stand beside him, and speak for you, as you need to be spoken for. You work too hard, you dedicate yourselves so much to ensuring the safety of your fellow officers and the residents of this city and this country. You need to be spoken up for. We shall continue to do that. Thank you for the opportunity that you give me to do that. In closing, let me close as I began with congratulations to you, and also a request. Continue to do what you have been doing. Work hard, stay committed, stay dedicated. Continue to seek to move up in the ranks of this department. We will continually need new leadership that has the professional skills and the dedication to move the department further into the 21st century and to face the many challenges of the 21st century. I know no group of men and women that are more capable of doing that than you, the 52,000 men and women of this extraordinary organization.
And thank you, Commissioner Rank. As a result, and 65 civilian members are being upgraded. Representing Local 237, Charlie Cotto will join the police commissioner for this Senate promotion. Porfido Veradas. Michael Cruz. Hector Diaz. Chantel Hope Elliott. Ira Ferdinand. Anthony Green. Paula Mangine. Linda Joseph. Thomas Lewis. Paulo Martinez. Elias Martinez. Nicola McFarland. Vilma Rodriguez. Diana Tyson. Barbara Brown. Megan Fitzsimmons. Stephen Pyman, Greenwich. Being promoted to the position of Supervisor of School Security is Romero Alamo. Being promoted to the position of Principal Police Communication Technician Level 1 are Layla Ansari and Mario Long.
And the Constitution of the State of New York. And to faithfully discharge the duties of my new position in the New York City Police Department to the best of my abilities, so help me God. Congratulations.
And now introduce Administrative Transportation Coordinator Level M1 is Sean Osler.
I pledge and declare to uphold the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and to faithfully discharge the duties of Director in the New York City Police Department to the best of my abilities. So help me God. Congratulations.
And now introduce Director of Budget and Procurement Unit, Naveed Hanna. Director of Facility Maintenance Unit, William Moreno. And Director of Fiscal Affairs, Colleen Pellegrino. Joining the Police Commission on stage is the FBA President, Ed Mullins. And being Stephen S. Monk. Marianne Polanco. And Daisy Regatta. Being designated Sergeant Supervisor Detective Squad are Blaise Colon, George Huang, Noel Leard, Andrew Lieutenant, Allison Mullen, Vera Olich, Joyce Raincoat, and Sally Espinosa. As a result of their success,
In the New York City Police Department, to the best of my ability, congratulations, Lieutenants.
joining the Police Commission on stage for the next set of promotion is the Lieutenant Benevolent Association President, Lou Turco. And being promoted to regular lieutenant are Gregory Badash, Pete Carella, Aaron Edwards, Kathy Gamble James, Giuseppe Ganzi, Ira Jablonski, Tiffany Lagares, Brendan Lally, Laura Lee, Salvatore Manino. Two brothers are getting promoted. First, Jack Ing. And his brother, James Ing. Nigel Paul. Come on up for help. Come up and go. Stephen Sorrow. Michael Silva. Montgomery Suma. And James Ritlock. Being designated Lieutenant Commander Detective Squad are Adrian Ashby, Roberto Bermudez, Richard Gibson, Joseph Lavella, and Paul Smith. Will the members be promoted to rank and captain, please? Rise to their seats. The administration oath by Deputy Commissioner Julian.
In the New York City Police Department, to the best of my abilities, so help me God. Congratulations, Captain.
Matthew Barbarola. Anuti Castillo. Kevin Coleman. Valerie Drancia. Angel Figueroa. William Glenn. A recipient of the 2013 Combat Cross, Seth Lynch. Raul Messinette. Ludwig Romero. Claudia Soto. And Christopher Safiro. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for all our uniformed volunteers today. Please rise to the benediction by Police Officer First Officer William Harris.
Their commands, and we ask you to bless them even as they leave this place.
James, Jack. James and Jack. All right.
Sure you know James?
Can you guys
All
the podium,
depends.
please?
Who wanted to be a cop first? You or
Okay. World Series games, which we are all optimistic, the Mets will win. Home team advantage. We also have, as you know, the Halloween parade in Greenwich Village that so many people look forward to and gets bigger every year. We have also coming up, the President of the United States will be in for extensive movement around the city on Mondays, and people need to be very aware of the various traffic advisories for Monday. And we have also the little event on Sunday, the marathon, 50,000 plus runners, and each year the crowd seem to go for that. It's supposed to be a beautiful day. So once again, New York has an opportunity to shine.
And I'd like to take this opportunity on behalf of the department to thank the media for the extensive coverage of the circumstances surrounding the murder of Detective Randolph Holder, as well as the funeral. That coverage is certainly very much appreciated by the men and women of this department. So with that, let's open it up for whatever questions you might have.
Commissioner, regarding the Halloween parade, can you talk a little bit about preparations NYPD is doing about this FBI alert on potentially anarchist group that's planned to ambush cops, I guess?
Okay. In terms of the parade, we are not anticipating anything untoward during that event. It's very well policed. It's become really very, very celebratory. I had the opportunity last year myself to see it for the first time, and I had a ball. And let me ask Commissioner Miller to just speak briefly to that threat and the basically lack of concern we have about it.
Hi, Commissioner. That threat emanates from our partners in the FBI. It comes out of a field office outside of New York. The investigation centers in a number of FBI field offices also outside of New York. The group that's mentioned in that threat has no nexus to New York City in terms of its past involvement or past actions. The reason we put out that law enforcement bulletin to members of the service of the NYPD was our understanding that once that notice went out from the FBI, it was likely to become public, that our police officers would hear about it from somewhere else and want to know what the context was of that threat vis-a-vis New York City. So as we put it out, we described what the threat was. We described that it had no nexus to the NYPD. But we also said, as this threat gets attention and publicity during your patrols around the Halloween period, be vigilant and be careful.
Thank you, John. Okay.
Commissioner Tony Tarantino, Quentin Tarantino's father, has come out against his son and the comments that he made about police brutality. And I know that you've already spoken out about Quentin Tarantino. Just what are your thoughts about his own dad coming out against him?
I think you're talking about a press release that came out from the PBA that I briefly saw this morning. I made my comments about my thoughts about Quentin Tarantino's participation in that march. We saw clearly last November, December, those marches, how they quickly denigrated into those that were basically calling for dead cops. I made it quite clear my displeasure at Mr. Tarantino's support of those in that march that he participated in that equate police officers with murderers. I'm sorry, that overkill literally on his part.
What does it say to you that his own dad's coming out against him?
Well, I'll leave that between the two of them. His dad, I understand, is a product of New York City. Grew up a kid on the streets of New York, very active participant in the Police Athletic League, which he attributes, if I understand the press release that I read, that helped to steer him in the right direction. So I'll leave it to father and son to have that discussion.
Commissioner, you referenced Commissioner Comey's remarks in your address to the promotees. Do you have any other observations about the so-called Ferguson effect he was referencing?
I had the opportunity to meet myself and John Miller with the director while we were in Chicago at the police conferences. That I also heard his speeches to the major city chief, as well as to the IACP. I am a big fan of Director Comey. He speaks his mind. He's direct, and he is solidly in a position to lead America into a discussion on this issue, and it needs to be discussed. And I'm supportive of him. His earlier comments on the matters of race, his comments on his perceptions about what might be happening relative to the crime increases that many American cities are experiencing over the last several months. All of that was set as prelude to the foundation of his remarks, which much of the media, in terms of the print media and others that have been attacking him, overlooked, in that the ability to determine exactly what is causing the crime rise in certain cities in America. We currently don't have the data or the capability to quickly understand what's going on. And so what he has been promoting is a new way of recording and reporting and analyzing crime, that he's been leading a national effort. We will, over the next several years, participate in that. The traditional UCR way of reporting it has become to be found to be too simplistic. we want to gather a lot more data that might allow us to understand why in certain cities, why this year, after 20 years of crime decline, and most of them did crime go up. So I think what happened with Mr. Comey's remarks, a lot of attention and focus on one part of them without taking the totality of them into context.
Well, in context of that, do you have any of your own theories or hunches about the so-called Ferguson effect?
Well, we clearly saw in this city that after the murder of our two officers in December, that a significant decline in police self-generated activity for a period of time, that we've exposed you to the surveys that were conducted of our officers as part of our re-engineering effort, that in some respects support Mr. Comey's comments that where our officers, many of them indicated they were clearly pulling back for a period of time because of their sense that they would not be supported for their actions. So what Mr. Comey is speaking to is, as he has talked to chiefs around the country, as he has talked to officers, that is his perspective that might be one cause of it. I think as it relates to New York City, quite clearly as our crime has continued to go down, we've had a small increase in homicides, small decrease in shootings, that quite clearly officers in this department have not been pulling back over these last number of months. We have consciously, as a department, as you're aware, been leading officers to pull back on certain types of enforcement, marijuana arrests, for example, seeking that they do more admonishment, more summonses rather than arrests. The focus in CompStat, led by Chief O'Neill, has been very much focus rather than quantity or just gathering numbers. We have certainly pulled back by the hundreds of thousands, begun by my predecessor, Ray Kelly, on stop, question, and frisk. So in New York City, which is the city I can speak to, we have been attempting to find the right balance, how much proactive enforcement is necessary to keep the crime numbers going down, and I think we've been achieving that.
Circle back to the big events this weekend and talk about some of the security challenges, 4 different things going on.
In terms of, once again, this weekend, we have a lot of security challenges, but the department, fortunately, because of our size of expertise, nobody's had more experiences with the World Series than New York because of the winning nature of our teams. Halloween event is something that has been handled very well for many years. Chief Morris he's going to be in his usual costume for the Halloween event, that you see it here. He's giving you a preview of it. And we anticipate that to be a really fun-filled event. And then the marathon is just, that's an extraordinary event in the city, much the same as the U.S. Open. So once again, we are not anticipating any significant security concerns that we're up for it. We're going to enjoy it as much as every other New Yorker.
Any update on the escaped prisoner, Gerald Brooks? I know last week you guys were upset about that, so any update on finding him?
I wish I could give you an update on that.
What's the deal with the officers?
That individual is still among the missing. We are still actively looking for him, so any additional attention you could give to that would be certainly appreciated. That as of this morning, that we still don't know his whereabouts, and we would like to reacquaint ourselves with him. So if you can help us with that, we would be very appreciative.
And the officers, any update with their status? I know you were very upset about it and surprised that it happened again.
Chief O'Neill, I'm not sure what the existing status is on those officers.
The sergeant was suspended, and the 2 officers still are getting charges and specifications. So it was a serious issue. They weren't paying attention, so we definitely had to send a message.
Commissioner, is the NYPD investigating the drone incident over JFK? The FAA said that you had something.
We will participate in the investigation, which I believe is being led by Nassau police officials. The actual sighting was over a portion of that area that was actually in Nassau County, if I understand it correctly. But we will actively participate with them. Those drone issues are of great and significant concern. It would not take much to take down an airliner with a drone. So we will actively participate with them.
Commissioner, is there any update in the West Indian Day Parade shooting of the governor's aide, Mr. Gabay?
That investigation is a very active one. I get updated on it very frequently. I'm very comfortable that we at some point will bring that investigation to a successful conclusion. And it will help to form the foundation of the meetings I'll be having with the Brooklyn elected officials on dealing much more aggressively with control of the Juve event next year. I'm looking for a lot more political activism and support of our enforcement efforts on the many parties that lead up to that event, and certainly control over that particular early morning event. So we'll be continuing on two fronts. One, moving toward the solution of the murder, but two, using that murder as a foundation to get everybody's arms collectively around taking responsibility for that event. A lot of people want that event, they encourage it, but nobody wants to take responsibility for it. So if it's to go forward, we're going to need political ownership of it, we're going to need organizational ownership of it, we're going to need community ownership of it. And we'll work with those three entities, but they all have to step up and take responsibility for the behavior of the people that participate in that event.
Dean, last one.
I don't want you to run out without talking about today's promotion, because you briefly mentioned it, but the captains being promoted today, there is a lot of diversity, more so than in past years. If you can talk a little bit about that.
We think the captain's promotions today were our most diverse group in probably the modern history of the department. That in terms of females, African American, the African American female, I think, came out number one on her particular list. Good news is the future promotions coming off of our new list will be as diverse. We've got a very, very diverse group. The importance of the captain's promotions and the captains being a diverse group, the leadership, deputy inspector, inspector, chiefs, all come from that rank. So we have been advocating with our fraternal groups, all those calling for more representation in the leadership of the department. You have to work with us. You have to take those exams. You have to study. And so I think what you're seeing today is reflective of that push to get more people into a promotion track. So I'm very encouraged by what I saw there today, and as I look at the promotion opportunities that I'll be making over the next year at the rank of captain, it's as diverse as what you saw this morning.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Folks.
Appreciate it.
Come on in, guys. Showing about diversity in the police department. In this promotion class, we've had 17 captains promoted, and out of the 17, 7 are of Hispanic descent. And this is one of the captains, Captain Figueroa, that'll address you guys.
Come on up, Captain. First name and last name now.
Yes, sir. How's it going, everyone? My name is Angel Luis Figueroa Jr. My son here is the third, so hopefully he'll continue on the legacy.
How long have you been on the job? How many years?
I've been on the job for 10 years. July made 10 years. I came on July 2005.
So actually, that's pretty fast for you. 10 years, you're already captain. I mean, how did you work that, getting up the ranks so quickly?
Well, God played a huge role as to lining up those exams. There was obviously a lot of hard work, dedication on my part, but in the same time, the sacrifice that my family took, during their time when I was away from them, studying long hours.
What does this mean? And I asked the commissioner this question. He just walked out. He was saying it's important that diversity comes up the ranks, because you can't get to inspector or chief unless you make it to your level. What do you think it means for diversity in the department, but in a real sense, you being a Latino captain, being in this department, moving up, what does it mean for the city?
Well, first and foremost, in order for the commissioner to, rise up the minorities, in the police department, he needs to have a pool to pick from, especially in the higher echelon. So we need to do our best, as Hispanics or minorities in this department, to really